You see that there's various other companies here in relation to Paul, Dorset, etc. Remember the area where this all started from my perspective. And here we're now within that Dorset Square company. Again, at the top you can see, and we're looking within the people record. And if you go into this person, you just click on their name and it will take you through to their companies, and this is one of them. Sherborne is featured throughout the research, Sherborne School. You'll see that in my other documents. And if you go into the incorporation document for this company in the filing history, it has Veal Vaspera Wizards again, which we've already mentioned. Now, if you go back into that same person at the top, you can see Graham there. We're now going to look at other companies, and this is important. Citizens' advice features throughout this fraud. And if you're going to be very evil and sinister, what a great place to try and divert and stop the fraud before it gets to the risk of exposing the real issue. So most people are directed through to citizens' advice, aren't they? If they've got a legal question or legal advice, they get directed to citizens' advice. And there you go, perfect opportunity to shut them down or divert them with incorrect information to make sure that this system of fraud isn't discovered. And it's interesting, this person actually resigned in December 2022. Now, I started reporting the fraud in September 2022, remember? So let's look at Citizens Advice, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole. And you can see they're registered at the main, that's the main Dorset County, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, Dorset County building. And they were incorporated in 1998 in the middle there. And you can see at the bottom here now of the page, we've got their previous company names that they were registered as. So the very first one was in 1998 until 2017, and it was called Bournemouth Citizens Advice Bureau. And here it is on there. There's the incorporation document, one of the pages of it, and that's correct. And at the bottom, though, it has Jordan's Limited. Now that's important. That's an illegal entity company, and that's because if you go and look at Vistra Limited, now trading as Vistra Limited, that was called Jordan's Limited. You will see on their overview page. But if you go into the filing history of Vistra Limited and look at the incorporation document, you will see that it's actually got a company called Hamiplag on its document. And that has not been registered on the record for Vistra Limited at all. Hamiplag, Hamiplag. So that's an illegal entity company. Again, it's a clear fraudulent offence because it creates a risk of an unlawful loss to individuals involved in the company financially, or not involved, sorry, paying money to the company, but also it gives the ability for those involved to unlawfully gain money as well. So it's a crime under the 2006 Fraud Act. Now we've got going into Citizens Advice again in Bournemouth, we've got this person who is an accountant, and Credit Suisse UK Limited is linked to them, and that's important because it links to previous research around the World Trade Center disaster, and that's because they were a tenant of the World Trade Center at the time of its collapse. And you can see from previous research here that Credit Suisse also links through to Lloyds Bank and through to Mithras Companies and Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council research as well. So you can go into the documents that I've produced, the BCP, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council document that I've done, and the World Trade Center document, you'll see that Credit Suisse is there. It also links through to Jordan's and Swift Incorporations Limited that we'll come to soon. So back into Citizens Advice, and we're now looking at this person. And they go into Hope Housing Training and Support Limited. This is important. Hope Housing Training and Support Limited, you can see at the bottom there, the address is 10 St Swithun's Road South in Bournemouth in England. Now when I was in the police station in Bournemouth, where I worked, was just around the corner from this, and we used to be advising people to go there if they had to this location, if they had any drug addiction or alcohol abuse problems, alcohol addiction, or they were homeless. We would direct them through to this location for help and support. Now within this company, I haven't shown it, but there is somebody linked to it that appears to be a shareholder within my company. Now this is the incorporation document. Again, it's an illegal, unlawful entity company. Now not only is this fraudulent, but it also fuels the drug and alcohol problem. Because if you imagine this company is now, because it's an illegal entity, is able to use the forged bank documents, and therefore they can pump taxpayers' contributions in through this company under the guise of trying to help people with alcohol, drug abuse and addictions, or mental health issues, or homelessness, then there's no incentive to stop the problem, because people are benefiting through the criminal system. So there's no motive to actually prevent the drug and alcohol addiction or the homelessness, as it should be, okay, because of this criminal system. And of course that then has knock-on effect for mental health, and don't forget it's linked to the child abuse as well, and child trafficking. So if people have had child abuse or have been victimised by child abuse when they were younger, they then grow up, or quite often they'll grow up understandably having mental health issues or suffering from depression or anxiety, and then of course they might turn to drugs or alcohol to help it. They might self-harm, they might even commit suicide. So this whole system of fraud has a huge impact on every area of society. If they were to resolve this, it would solve most of the world's international problems, but also the local problems that we're seeing with crime, drug, alcohol, and psychological issues and mental health issues. Most of the jobs I went to in the police were because of alcohol-related problems, whether it be someone's drunk, having a fight, or a domestic violence incident, or alcohol or abuse related, or drug or abuse related, whether it be they're suffering from psychological harm or psychological problems from where they were abused when you were younger, or depression. And it's all linked. And of course they would have known this, the politicians, they would have known exactly what this was doing. And it's evil. So now looking at the citizen's advice there at the top, you can see we're going into another person record. And you can see that a management company is linked to that. And remember, we're very close to KIER STARMER. We haven't come far at all from his associated company. And here we are, we're now linking to my company. Okay, already. We've already now come to my company. And I'll show you why. First of all, this company at the bottom here, this address, 328A Wimborne Road, Winton, Bournemouth, Dorset. I know that that is associated with my building immediately when I saw it. And that's because this person that was within that company was our managing agent for our building. In fact, this is the very person where when I started identifying the issues with our building, I arranged a meeting with this person, and they refused to discuss anything with me at all and resigned as the management company. I then was the acting chairman for our company, trying to resolve all of this mess, trying to work out what's happening. I don't think they thought I'd actually get to the bottom of it, but I have. And there's Russian intelligence agencies connections through to these companies and these individuals, links to Ukraine that you'll see in a minute. A collaborative international effort of crime and fraud, all linked through to international child trafficking. I am not saying that Mr. Owens is directly linked or involved with child trafficking or crime in any way, but he is most certainly linked to very closely to a system of international government fraud and to child trafficking. So looking into that company now, you'll see that Peter Lawson is there. Now this is interesting because Peter Lawson is the same name as the lead investigating officer for the Nicola Bulley case. Now I'm not saying this is the same person, because obviously no verification of details have ever taken place, so false details can be used, and the date of birth suggests it's not. But if we look into this person record, we now have a link to Siemens Financial Services Holdings. Now this is incredibly important, because now we have a link to the concern, and I have very serious immediate concerns about the directed energy weapons potentially being integrated into the lighting system around the world, in particular the developed nations, and in the 5G system. Because Siemens is a company, if you look at my directed energy weapons and systems concerns documents and videos, you will see that Siemens is heavily linked to it. Now, this company was a German company, Siemens, and it was started up in founded in 1947. 3 years after Company's House was started. And research into Siemens suggests that they supplied items or materials to Nazi concentration camps. And also, the research suggests that they set aside annually around $50 billion worth in bribery money to bribe their way through to dominance through their incorporations or through their companies. So it's a huge company. It's a German company. And also somebody I spoke to the day before yesterday in relation to the 5G masts in their back garden, in a field out the back that they're contesting, and I'm in touch with those individuals. They mentioned another company, and they even said that that company they've looked into also supplied materials to Adolf Hitler and the Nazi concentration camps. Now, I haven't verified or corroborated that, but it just shows you the sinister plans potentially in place now in relation to this. And I do suggest, don't just look at my evidence in relation to the potential harmful effects of the 5G and the street lighting. Go and look at other videos and links that I've already put on from others. It's extremely worrying, and I suspect this was the plan for a very long time for a depopulation event that could be triggered at any time. So let's look at Siemens Financial Services Holdings. Now, this is incredibly interesting. It was dissolved in January 2022. You can see at the bottom there. But when you look into their company filings, it's all been removed. Now, I'm pretty sure that wasn't my signal or anything like that. I tried it several times. Please, someone else go and check it. But I could not find any documents linked to it. Now, this is a clear sign, if that's the case, that they've removed them, that they are trying to remove the evidence now, and they are planning something, I would suggest, very sinister, very soon. There's also, if you go and try and search the parliamentary debates for 5G, because you can type in a keyword 5G, type that in, and it should bring up any debates that have involved the word 5G, and not one parliamentary debate comes up when you look on the government website. Now, there is no way that they have not been discussing 5G. So that, again, is a very clear indicator to me that this was the plan all along. It is extremely sinister, and that they're trying to hide how serious the 5G issue is. And it links back, don't forget, to Nicola Bulley and all of the other things that I'm looking at. This is the key to what the plan is, I suspect, and has been for a very, very long time. When you look into the same person record, Peter Lawson here, we go to Siemens Financial Services Limited. And if you look at their incorporation document, it should have, at the bottom there, you can see Schroeder Finance Limited, the oldest document, or oldest name registered, but it's not got Schroeder Finance Limited. Okay, so this is an illegal false entity company. It's also got, so it's got Prestcold Finance, you can see on there. But it's also got Allen and Overy, Cheapside. Allen and Overy. Now, when I search Allen and Overy on my previous research, it comes back to Nicola Bulley Research. And also Bank of America. Illegal, fraudulent entities throughout this. Remember, crime. They would have known that. And we now have, again, a link. There's multiple links to the case of Nicola Bulley, or the companies around Nicola Bulley. Remember, I started reporting this in September 2022. She was found deceased in February 2023. And all around her is the fraud. All of the companies, BAE Systems, linked to her husband, who research suggests he had connections or used to work for the company. And then when you look at BAE, they were developing a directed energy weapon with Thales, Thales. Look at my other documents and videos in relation to Nicola Bulley, and you will see those connections. Also, why have I brought this up? Oh yeah, Cater and Allen. This was just showed some previous research in relation to that. I'm trying to think why I've put that on there. Okay, it's because Allen and Overy there. I've searched the word Allen and it's brought this up as well, and you can see at the bottom that you've got Cater Allen okay, which is linked through to the fraud and Lloyds Bank as well, and that's a very important company. So Alan Overy, when you search it, it also brings up the World Trade Center research. So you can look at that on my World Trade Center document, and the BACS payment scheme. If you're not aware of that, that is a method of transferring payments online, internationally. And remember, we've got the SWIFT international transaction system that has been set up as an illegal entity company, fraudulent criminal company. Most banks are linked through to that, and that has allowed the ability for many, many years to send money through to offshore accounts and therefore hide the system of fraud, or the money, sorry, in relation to these illegal entity companies. Now back into the management company, Dunholm. We've now got House and Son property. Now the building House and Son is literally just down the road from the building where I live, where I can't go, but where I live, and House and Son are here. And at the bottom you can see Owens and Porter Limited. That's the company that Stephen Owens works for, or did work for. And if we look at now, just to confirm, this is my company, not mine. I didn't start it up, but I became a director of it 2 years after it started, presuming it was a legitimate company. Little did I know what it would lead to. And you can see within the people records, we have Property Solutions Southern Limited. Within there's a gentleman who, if he's using his real details, called Paul Mallory. I've got connections through to Paul Mallory through to this system of fraud, links through to him. And it was very clear that this became the new management company after Owens and Porter, and it was very clear that they were involved in trying to hide the fraud and conceal what was really going on in relation to the international fraud. And these are now directors linked to it. Now, I was removed as a director. I didn't resign. I was forced to go by others. And that's because I was refusing to file and use forged bank documents to file our accounts, because I would have become a criminal. But they removed me. They voted to remove me and use those documents anyway. A crime. So these are other directors active. This is still an active company. Okay, now I've got links to some of these individuals to other companies that are linked to the fraud, illegal entity companies. So I'm just listing most of them, the active directors. Now there was also the element of fraud that was being used, whereby when I was a director, I was trying to obtain quotations for our building, trying to save us all money, including the leaseholders, and obtained my own insurance quotations for the building, for our company, and they were around £4,000 or £5,000 cheaper than the quotes being provided by our management companies, and the directors still chose to go with those expensive quotations. So there would have been some sort of deal in place, I would think, where they were receiving money via the fraudulent system, via the excess quotations. And remember, I'd worked out that there was around over £167,000 missing of service charge contributions into my building. I'd been paying every single time that I was requested by the management company, presuming it was all legitimate and everyone else was contributing. I then found out that there were certain individuals who had paid nothing, and that they had connections, or appeared to have connections, to high-ranking police officers. So I'd been defrauded because I was paying way more than I should have been into the building. It turns out the fire safety hadn't been done for the building, so it's unsafe. It had been unsafe for years anyway, because by law you have to have a fire risk assessment. That hadn't been done for 3.5 years by those in charge of the company. You know, they even brought back in, when I was removed as a director, they brought back in previous directors who had resigned from my company when I wanted to look at the bank accounts. A huge cover-up, and just confirming that this gentleman is on our record. You can see Exbourne Manor freehold at the top. And this is some people now that they resigned. So they resigned when I was identifying the fraud. This person had already resigned, but again, these are public records. This person resigned not long after I was removed, and it was clear that they were not assisting me. This person I tried to remove in a meeting as a director when I realised the fraud was happening. In fact, one of the other directors I tried to remove in a meeting and have voted out from the fraud. And you can see here the meeting. This person was, but it was all a cover-up. But this person was actually removed as a director. Oh, as a result of my meeting, this person resigned. You see, September 2022, after I started reporting the fraud. And I've got links to most of these people to other companies and the fraud as well. So you can see here I am on the list, and you can see I didn't resign. I was actually removed from the company by others, and you can see that was in July 2023. Going back to BWB Secretariat, okay, so this is from KIER STARMER into the death penalty company it's part of, and BW Secretariat is listed on the people there. We're now looking at their records, so we're very close to KIER STARMER, and we have this company, Victor Pinchuk. So who's Victor Pinchuk? Well, he is a Ukrainian businessman, and as of January 2016, Forbes magazine ranked him as one of the wealthiest people in the world, with a fortune of $1.44 billion. Pinchuk is the founder of East One Group. We're going to look at that in a minute. An international investing, project funding and financial advisory company based in London. One of Ukraine's leading pipe, wheel and steel producers, Pinchuk is the owner of 4 TV channels and a popular tabloid. He has been a member of the Ukrainian parliament for 2 consecutive terms from 1998 to 2006. Pinchuk was born in 1960 in Kyiv to Jewish parents who moved to the industrial city of this in 1987. Pinchuk has supported philanthropic projects in Ukraine. In 2006, he controlled these activities under the Victor Pinchuk Foundation. As of 2013, considered the largest private Ukrainian philanthropic foundation. The foundation is active in the fields of health, education, culture, international affairs, human rights and local communities. The foundation projects include the largest private scholarship program in Ukraine. Just further down there, the foundation, so 2/3 of the way down, the foundation supports the works with a variety of partners, including the network Yalta, European strategy created to promote Ukraine's European integration, the Clinton Global Initiative, Clinton, the Kyiv School of Economics, Tony Blair Faith Foundation, that's already linked to the fraud, and we've got Kyiv companies. Remember, if you look at my directed energy weapons concerns, I believe, or that it might be actually in the Rishi Sunak document, which links through to everything basically, but that is mentioned, and it says here that they also the Israel Presidential Conference for Facing Tomorrow and the legal clinics, legal and projects of the Renaissance Foundation. Its projects include giving $150,000 to the Trump Foundation as a speaking fee in 2015. Unfortunately, I'm finding many links through to that, through to Space Force, through to Pascal Najadi, who are supposedly going to come in and save the day. Ukraine cooperation programs with the Clinton Global Initiative, the Elton John AIDS Foundation. I've already seen that in my research for the fraud. Foundation of his wife, Alina, the creation of the Kyiv School of Economics, a cooperation with the Aspen Institute, the opening of the first large-scale contemporary art centre in Ukraine. Also the production of the promotion of a film with Steven Spielberg. I found connections through, actually, to Steven Spielberg. In June 2019, Pinchuk organised the Paul McCartney free concert on Independence Square in Kyiv in front of 500,000 people. Just reading through, anything else relevant there? I mean, go and do your own research and have a look at this. This is interesting. In February 2015, Pinchuk relates to, here I can't see under that bit because of my recording bit, but it says his fortune during his lifetime and beyond to philanthropic causes, joining the Giving Pledge, a philanthropic I'm so sorry, I'm terrible at this. Initiative founded in 2010 by Bill Gates. Remember, we've got links to the World Economic Forum through this as well, who are supposedly running the world. Pinchuk has donated from, it appears as though it's all a criminal system. You can't run the world through a organised criminal organisation system to run the world. It doesn't work. My goodness, where's the truth, transparency and honesty and integrity? Anyway, donated $10 to $25 billion to the Clinton Foundation between 1994 and 2005. In 2004, Sharon introduced Pinchuk to Hillary Clinton. Between September 2011 and November 2012, Sharon arranged nearly a dozen meetings between Pinchuk and senior State Department officials, including Melanie Verveer. Emails released by Judicial Watch and obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests showed that Pinchuk had been invited to dine at Hillary Clinton's home during her tenure at the State Department, despite her spokesman's previous denial that they had met during that time. In March 2017, former Trump aide, again Donald Trump aide, Monica Crowley, registered as foreign agent for Pinchuk. In November 2014, in Kyiv, Pinchuk was presented with the 2014 Metropolitan Andriy Shepsky, sorry, I'm not going to pronounce that, award, and his work in fostering Ukrainian-Jewish relations. Interesting at the bottom there, I hadn't seen that before. In June 2022, Pinchuk and his wife donated over £10 million to charity to support Ukrainian soldiers. So let's look at East One Group Limited. Remember, we mentioned that link to that individual. Let's have a look at it. Incorporated in 2007, it's still an active company. Now looking at their incorporation documents. Jordan's Limited, a legal entity company. Into the record, people record, this person goes through to the New Generation Europe Foundation that had already featured in my research. If you look at their register, on the overview page, it's an active company, incorporated a year after the World Trade Center disaster in September 2002. And at the bottom there, you can see that its previous company names from 2002 to 2004 was Open Russia Foundation. It then changed its company name on the 7th of December 2004 to Future of Russia Foundation. And then importantly, in March 2003, it changed its name again and removed the Russia connection and changed its name to New Generation Europe Foundation. Now, you don't need much more evidence than this. Now, we've already got the, if you look at my other documents and videos, particularly the I think it's the Directed Energy Weapons Concerned one, or the Rishi Sunak document, you will see that it's very clear that the nations are working collaboratively together on this fraud. They're changing their names to try and avoid that connection. Remember, that name change was in 2023, in March. I remember reported the fraud in September 2022, roughly. I was removed as a director. So they've removed the Russian name. So I'll let you, I know what my personal views are on all of this, and it's very clear that they're avoiding the link to Russia and this international government fraud. Now, looking on the incorporation document for that company, you can see that we've got Swift Incorporations Limited at the top and Jordan's Limited at the bottom. And if you look at my company, Exborn Manor Freehold Limited, the same two companies we used to start them. Hopefully that makes sense. This is just some of the links. There is loads more evidence in relation to KIER STARMER. Fraud all the way throughout. Criminal activity. far worse than any criminal activity I ever saw in my time in the police. Far worse. It's all linked to every crime that we are talking about, every society problem that we are looking at. The main concern and priority for me is the directed energy weapons that appear to have been incorporated into the lighting systems and to the 5G network around the world. And I suspect very strongly that that is an imminent depopulation plan. God bless you all.